welcome back to my channel, and y'all know what time it is. Love and Marriage Huntsville Part 2, the reunion came out, and it definitely delivered. Carlos knows what he's doing. He knows what questions to ask. You know, when you are a host, it's not just about asking the right questions. It's, excuse me, y'all. It's the follow-up questions that really get into the nitty-gritty of what we were trying to break down. And Carlos, he know what he doing, and he looked good while doing it. Got that nice little tailored suit on, and he got to the business, especially in revealing how the Scott brothers really knew what Martell was doing all along. It honestly, this episode 2 as well just validated what a lot of us women already know, which is when one of the homeboys start doing some bullshit, they are behind the scenes. My name Bennett, I ain't in it, and they all of a sudden become mute, you know, and what's going on. And Kimmy had to check Maurice and saying, bro, you look complacent, even though he was arguing the fact down boots. You know what? Let me not even get, I'm sitting here going out of order, y'all. Let's get into the reunion, because it's a lot of stuff we got to break down and a lot of questions I need to ask too that I want to ask y'all. So if you're new to my channel, I appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Everybody else, drop down in the comments. Tell me how you feel about the reunion. And tell me how you feel about Carlos being the host so far. Do you feel like he should, you know, from now on host the reunions? We all know Funky Dineva is definitely up for a second close second. I think next season Funky Dineva may do a little guest appearance, because I watch his videos. I think it's definitely time for Funky Dineva to make an appearance on the big screen TV, because he knows how to ask questions too, and I appreciate his emotional intelligence, because I'm a person of high emotional intelligence. Hate to toot my own horn, but I know I am. And so when you have that type of, you know, thinking, you know how to ask and know how to decipher people's energy, and, you know, you just pick up on things. But nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. That's just my opinion, and feeling like I'd be glad to see, if not Carlos, Funky Dineva host the reunion. But until then, until we get there, let's go ahead and get into this episode. So we open up with Carlos asking, you know, Martell the dreaded question. You know, it's clear that you have feelings for this woman. Is it safe to ask, you know, had you met her before Melody, that you would have married her? And boy, let me tell you, crickets. It was quiet, and Martell had nothing to say until Marceau, well, no, I mean, she just with him because, you know, he has money. Marceau, like Melody said, wait a minute, it's amazing how he has to be prompt to answer the question. Let him answer the question. And so Carlos like, no, you're not going to answer it. And he's just quiet. He's stuck. Like, that's the dumb stuff about Martell. He's man enough to do all the stuff, but you're not man enough to sit in your shit. Like, when y'all mess up, like, own up to it. And he cannot. And truth be told, Martell, had he met Melody before, had he met Paprika or Cayenne, you know, before he met Melody, is there a chance that he would have married her? Possibly. Not for the fact that they are a match or that he truly loves her, but for what she does for him and how she makes him feel. I don't think Martell is in love with her by any means, but he is in love with the way she makes him feel. And that to Martell is important, making a man feel like a man, you know, as they tell us we're supposed to do. You know, it's what Ariane offered him. Melody at home, when Martell goes home to the whole establishment, he honestly, in comparison to Mel, ain't nothing. Come to find out, the reason Holt even existed is because Melody's the one with the goddamn builder's license. Like, he knows that all of that would be nothing without Melody. Like, you would have nothing without Melody. So being in that household and you not having that leverage that most men have, and being able to tell a woman to shut up and sit down, you're not going to tell Melody that, not with her qualifications. So what do? You go run to Ariane, who makes you feel good and gets down her knees every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because she's open like IHOP, you know, and makes you feel good. But in true, honest fashion, like, you're not into her like that, because if you really were, you would have left her, period. You just like the way she makes you feel. That's all it is. So in that question, that kind of now alludes to Melody's being like, well, you know, Martell used to just always say, like, he was just greedy. Like, he don't really love her. Like, oh, he always tell me, oh, you know, I would never be with her. You know, even if we broke up, I'd never date her, you know. And he just admitted, like, he was being greedy. Not only was Martell being greedy, he was being, what's the word I'm looking for? He had security in the fact that Melody had kids with him. He felt security in the fact that they had everything in their name together. He basically felt security in, you know, the patriarchy. It's not just about only being greedy. It's just about the fact that he felt entitled to it, because they feel entitled to having multiple women when they do their job, right? You know what the old lady say? As long as he take care of the household, as long as he take care of the kids, girl, let him do what he doing across the railroad tracks. But the thing is, you know, y'all aren't thinking about the woman who's having to put up with that shit. It's like, it's easy for Martell to do what he's doing because he feels safe in the patriarchy. Like, he said himself, he never thought Melody was going to leave. She had 3 kids with this man, then moved on to having 4, even after finding out that, you know, he, you know, cheated on her. So he felt security in the fact that they had all this shit with their names tied together. So what was the reason for him to stop? What was he gonna stop for? Because he felt like, oh, she ain't going nowhere. Like, what? She ain't going nowhere. She got too much tied together with me. So, of course, Martell wasn't going to stop. So, but the breaking point for Melody was, like she said, like, I believed him. Like, first of all, she didn't leave. You know, she explained, like, you know, Carlos, like, well, you hearing that, you know, what does that make you think? And she's like, it's BS. And, you know, a lot of, you know, she's like, I did what most wives and women do. You stay because you feel like they're going to change. You know, Martell is really good at making you believe things. And Martell being the narcissist that he is, well, people who have that mentality, they can convince themselves of anything. And I really do think Martell convinced himself that, you know, he was going to stop. You know, he no longer was going to do it. He was going to do everything for Melody and the family. Like, he truly believed that. And the thing with them is, like, because they can convince themselves to believe nonsense, like, they now need to get the other person to believe the nonsense too. But then when they don't, that's when all hell breaks loose. Like, narcissists don't like when you don't buy into their BS. And so Melody finally had this moment of, like, no longer buying into what Martell was saying, when he literally is down and out, back all messed up. She's literally taking care of this man, being his nurse. He crawling upstairs still to get to his second phone. She watching this man crawl up the stairs. Your phone up here, but why am I looking at you pull out another one from under the goddamn cabinet? So she was like, Melody was like, wait a minute, like, a phone? Oh, hell no, this nigga got another phone. I'm like, really, Martell? Like, he was just so infatuated with the feelings of this woman that it's like, you trying to be a whole Kevin Gates out in this bitch. He had 2 phones, one for the wife, one for the hoe. That's messy, ain't it? He had 2 phones, one for the wife, one for the hoe. Boy, let me tell you, Martell ain't shit. So that right there basically was Melody's moment in realizing, like, oh, I'm not doing it anymore. And so she, you know, Carlos was like, well, look, you know, how did you feel? You know, and feel like, you know, Martell, he loved this woman. You know, he's like talking for Martell basically and saying, like, you know what? I think you love these 2 women. I do think you tried to stop. Remember, he did try to stop. Remember, he said, you know, I didn't talk to her for 3 months. Nigga, you don't get a cookie. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, he definitely tried to stop. But the thing is, he's not a man. He don't feel like a man in his own household, so he has to run to something that makes him feel good, right? And so not only that, you have this woman, like Melody said, I'm confused though, because if you say, you know, first of all, she checked Carlos with, because Carlos tried to be, you know, the fact that you weren't enough woman for Martell, how do you feel about that? And she was like, no, I'm plenty woman. You know what? Like, I didn't just, I'm enough. It's just that, you know what? I no longer was going to put up with, you know, his bull. But it's amazing how, you know, she's supposed to be all these things, you know, the restaurant open 24/7, the Denny's IHOP of it all, you know, serving it up on a platter for this man. But you not date, like, you not with her right now. You're still out here single dating other people. Make that make sense. And so Martell had to sit there and try to, like, just because, I'm dating her doesn't mean, I want to get married. And it's like, Martell, first of all, he was damned if he did, damned if he don't with that question in the first place, because, would you have married Ariane? We know he was telling Ariane, oh, I'm gonna leave her, I'm just with her for the kids, we gonna get married one day. He was telling Ariane that, because typically side women don't stay around that long unless the man is feeding them with full of sweet nothings. So we know Martell was telling her that mess. And then on the other side, you can't sit there and be like, oh, I would have married her, because now you like taking jabs at your ex-wife, But for Carlos, it's like him asking, like, Melody basically trying to, check Carlos and saying, like, she ain't that much because they not together. Martell's still out here dipping it and doing it. Like, we need to know, are y'all together in the same household? Are y'all around the street from each other? Or do you have your house and she's coming to stay the night? Like, what's going on? But she ain't that much, like she said, because, like, you not with her right now. Like, you blew up your whole spot to not even be with this bitch. Like, what makes it better? The fact that he would have been in love with her, or the fact that it was just sex? Like, to me, like, if you're going to blow up a whole empire, like, for this woman, you better go with it. Like, it better mean something. Like, no matter how much that may hurt, like, that to me seems like maybe a silver lining you can find through all of that pain. Like, knowing, okay, you didn't just blow our shit up for sex, right? Like, it's something. Like, make it mean something. But the fact that you're not even with this woman, you steady not acknowledging her low-key, acknowledging the baby, you want to play Captain Save-A-Ho and weird-ass moments, and he did later on the episode. But nonetheless, he got asked about that, and he just basically said, like, oh, just because we dating doesn't mean I want to get married. So then they move on to, all the other men knowing about Marceau and this woman. About Martell and this woman. And so they asked, Carlos asked, well, did y'all say he, with him, Martell having feelings like this, did y'all ever see her? And Maurice lied and said no, but Marceau, he said, yes, I've seen them together. He was like, and Martell kind of like snickered, because I don't think he was expecting Marceau to admit that they've been around each other. But nonetheless, Marceau basically was like, he's a different woman around her. I told Martell, like, bro, this ain't it. Like, this ain't you. This ain't what it is. And Tisha had to be like, what does that mean? This ain't it. And like Melody said, bitch, a Toyota to a Rolls Royce. And Martell had this Captain Save-A-Ho moment with, well, y'all got a degree from the same place. You not gonna do that. She's a mother of my child. You not gonna disrespect her. Nigga, you called her a peasant on national TV. You compare her to an orange tree on national TV. Like, you've been keeping her a woman of the dark, keeping her behind the scenes for 6 years. Like, how much do you really respect her? But now all of a sudden, you're going to sit there and try to defend the fact that she got a degree. She might got a degree, but when it comes to who's leveling up, I'm sorry, bruh. In comparison, Melody is the Rolls Royce, and she a nice, good old, Jeep Cherokee. Like, she may be there for you. She may slightly be dependable, but the bitch is bad on gas mileage, and trying to fix a Jeep, it's gonna take a lot of money, because they a ripoff. Like, ultimately, what you dealing with right now, Martell, is a ripoff. Melody has it all, but you know what? You said you helped Melody build who she is, her brand. You took her from being a teacher, so you got the magic, Martell, so go ahead and copy and paste. Go ahead and make Ariane the new Melody, since you did it all, But nonetheless, we need to get to the fact that Marceau knew about it, and he said, Martell's a little bit more aggressive. And see, what I think he means by more aggressive is Martell is more of a caveman. He's more Neanderthal with Ariane. You can tell by her attitude and the way she holds herself and the way she talks. she kind of got hood rat behavior. I'll just put it that way. And so Martell doesn't have to be of certain type of poise, you know, with Ariana. He doesn't have to be a certain type of caliber with her. He can be the most bare minimum Neanderthal caveman with her because that's what she accepts, right? And so then Maurice, he talking about, oh, I ain't never seen, I wasn't with them. And Tisha looking like, but y'all went on a trip to Atlanta. And so now Melody's like, wait a minute, you knew, like, y'all been to Atlanta together? But I thought I was the one who was, you know, letting out there in the street. So now Carlos is looking at Marceau like, wait a minute. So you've known this timeline ain't adding up. And he basically admitted, like, he knew about her apparently a month and a half to 2 months before Melody did. So now it's like, oh, when Martell was saying y'all was doing y'all dirt together, you basically snitched on yourself. Like, Marceau, you basically snitched on yourself. And the fact that you knew, you didn't just meet this woman one time because they said that she popped up on the guys trip. You didn't just meet Ariana one time. Like, no. Because if you were quiet about it that one time, now Martell knows he can bring her around again and again. But to me, Martell felt comfortable bringing her around because he knew y'all weren't going to say nothing. Marceau, you can't say nothing because you out there with your 20 girlfriends doing the same goddamn thing. And Maurice is not going to say nothing because he's loyal by default being a Scott, having the same last name. So, y'all always doing the shit, right? So then, of course, Kimmy has to be like, that's complacent if you ask me. Like, if you know that he's doing these things, why are you not leaving? And Maurice's logic is, well, if I stay, you know, I have more influence if I stay with them. I can see what they're doing. And once again, like Kimmy said, once I've acknowledged, hey, what you're doing is BS, I don't agree with it, at that point, I'm out of there. Because if I stay, what happens the moment, Maurice, if Melody calls you looking for, you know, Martell, and she hit you with the ring, hello, have you seen Martell? And you looking at him across the damn bar with Paprika sitting down with a goddamn beer in her hand, what do you now have to do? You now have to lie for Martell. And so now you have become an accessory to the crime. That's what Kimmy's getting at. Your complacency now makes you an accessory to the crime. But y'all don't want to see it like that. And Maurice don't want to own up to it, but you let your slip show backstage. Marceau, he basically justified as because he wasn't celebrating it. He told Martell, you know, what you doing is wrong. Like, this ain't it. Like, this ain't it, you know. And so, of course, Melody and Tisha were agreeing with Kimmy, and that just goes to show, like, the difference between men and women. So they go backstage, and of course, you know, Melody is over it. She's mad that Carlos low-key keep bringing her up, keep bringing Cayenne up. And she feels like now he's like kind of low-key put her on a pedestal, like basically giving her more airtime. We know Ariana loves this. She was just in love with the fact that, you know, Carlos called her the whole damn restaurant last episode. But it's like, how do you feel watching this, you know, this time where basically he literally does not acknowledge you? Like, I just don't understand. Like, Melody just constantly proves how Martell always says, oh, I'm not gonna be with her, or, you know, she ain't it, like, she a peasant. Like, he's shown so many times how little he thinks of you, but you're just there for his pleasure. Like, that is it. Poor girl, get you some confidence about yourself. But nonetheless, Melody's backstage, you know, just going off because she feels like, here you are, Martell, defending her, being Captain Save-A-Ho, trying to put her on the same pedestal as me. And baby, that is not the way to do it. And she's eventually low-key kind of breaks down because it's like, I can't stand this man. Like, I gotta put up with him because I done procreated with him, but now it's causing me to have to stay in a place, which is Huntsville, that causes me depression. I felt for Melody in that moment because y'all saw the way she was just crying. Like, she was just like, I hate Huntsville. It's like, now anytime she's in Huntsville, what's always gonna be on her mind? The fact that in Huntsville is the place that her husband had a 6-year goddamn affair and had a baby on her. Like, that's always going to be the memory of Huntsville. But she can't leave because she can't get solid, you know, custody or sole custody of her kids without proving that Martell is a shitty dad. But, he's not. He is involved in the kid's life. So the courts aren't going to give her, sole custody for her to be able to run off to Atlanta, because that's definitely her first thing in mind, is running off to Atlanta and getting the F out of Dodge. So then we see Maurice basically, trying to talk in circles with Kimmy, and she's looking at him like, I don't like the fact that, you said you were okay with staying. Oh, well, I'm just saying, I've seen her and Martell together, but, I haven't seen them interact. That doesn't make any sense, Maurice, because you said if you're there at a place, you're not leaving, right? So you've seen them, but you haven't seen them interact. But you stayed at the place that they're at because you said you weren't leaving. So you're telling me you stayed at a place and didn't see what was going on between them, right? Because it's either you had an inkling or you knew for sure. Marceau definitely knew for sure because him and Martell was out there doing the shits together, okay? But for you, it's like, and then too, a good question was about Tisha knowing. And Tisha said she didn't find out until after Melody blew up the spot. Then she went back and asked Marceau, well, did you know the whole time? I don't know, Tisha. I don't know. That's a question. Do y'all believe Tisha knew the whole time? Or do you believe Marceau went back and told Tisha and she just kept it on mute and kept it cute? Or do you really think she found out when Melody finally put everything on blast? But as far as Maurice goes, you slowly coming up behind your brother on the ain't shit level. On that ain't shit chart, Marceau is always ahead of you, but nigga, you creeping up. Because for him to try to justify staying, I'm not leaving a party because somebody's cheating, you're missing the point. It's like he purposely was missing the point, because he knew if he admitted to staying somewhere being complacent, he now has to agree that he was guilty in allowing Martell to do what he was doing. And so you see how this always goes between Martell and Maurice ever being able to say he's wrong. And then Maurice, his brother, still with the shits, lying, because Tisha's like, I know Maurice was on a trip to Atlanta. He was there. Here go Marceau. I can't remember. What do you mean? I mean, my memory right now is just really jacked up. And she's like, Marceau, now here you go lying. He was like, I really don't think Maurice was there. And it's like, you really see how fucked up all of these men are. So now we get to Destiny being on stage, right? Destiny comes on with her little velvet. It was so pretty, a burgundy Merlot, just darks, just dress, the shoes. Everything was on point. And then we got to the hair and I was like, damn. The hair, had she maybe taken one pack a bundle out, or maybe did a cute wild messy ponytail, I don't know, the hair, it just lost it for me. But as far as looks goes, Destiny definitely was one of the best. So now it's Destiny's turn to get on stage, and we talk about her kind of low-key being on hush-hush about LeBaric. And she said that she was quiet about it because she was still working on things with LeBaric. And then after that, they ended up getting divorced in the midst of COVID. And so now, of course, Carlos is asking, well, what happened? Did you cheat? And she was like, no. Well, did he cheat? And she like, no, we were on breaks. And she just kept saying, we had breaks, which makes me feel like she was messing with somebody on a break. LeBaric didn't like it, or he questioned, it's rumored out there that, the paternity of the baby is questioned, and, he didn't want to deal with it. But they kept using the last name basically as a scapegoat because that was a huge, big issue. When she got asked, what was the reason you guys got a divorce, she really danced around the question. We never really got a solid answer. All she said was, well, we moved. She's like, finally moved down. We moved in with each other. Then COVID hit. I had a baby. It was just all really complicated. Yeah, but what was the issue? Why did y'all divorce? She didn't really give it up. And it's understandable. She said because of her baby, but you can't be on a reality TV show talking about your life and not really talking about your life. Destiny, don't work that way. You're not gonna be able to make it another season and not give up no more tea, sis. So then we get into how Martell basically, confronted her and told her that's the reason you got a divorce, because of your mouth. Because she was basically checking him about what he did with Melody. See, that's your problem. You and Melody the same. Y'all both got that mouth. That's why we getting a divorce. And so when they asked Martell about it, Melody pulled that damn clown mask up. Bitch, I hollered. And he looked like, why is a clown mask? Because she's like, you're literally saying we got a divorce because basically we are too opinionated. Well, men don't like mouthy women. We don't like women who like to try to take charge. You have 3 daughters, you MFer. Like, you have 3 daughters and you are so sexist and misogynistic. And I just think about when they grow up and they look back at all the shit that their daddy said. Like, for one, how do they respect you? And for 2, when they get in a relationship with these ancient dudes, you're not going to be able to say nothing, Martell. Nothing. Because the same BS that the men are feeding your daughters, you've done before. And you are going to resonate more with the man that's treating your daughter like shit than the fact that your daughter deserves more than that. And that she's not supposed to be in this patriarchy dealing with shit that men like you think like. Like, I just don't understand. But yeah, you're definitely a clown for that. And so they ended up getting into what else with Destiny? It was something else with Destiny. We talked about LeBerick, her getting divorced. Oh, LeBerick, he has been coming around the house. They like, he takes care of the baby and things like that. And I don't know what happened with them. What do you guys think? I personally think there was something going on in the break. He didn't like it. The last name thing, that's what it was. So basically, they kind of use the last name thing as a scapegoat, but that's not a reason somebody gets divorced, right? So Marceau was like, well, I mean, you should have kept that same energy. You knew that's what he wanted. And so if he's telling you, we're going to break up without the last name, because it's all about the legacy. And first of all, I can appreciate that Kimmy did not give Jalen the ancient daddy's last name. Y'all got to stop doing that. Like, passing on a legacy of somebody who really earned it, worked for it, and deserves it. If you are a man who's not involved in your child's life, you don't deserve a legacy. Period. So, nonetheless, Marceau was like, well, if he told you that, she's like, but he didn't tell me that. He's like, oh, my bad. I guess I'm just putting stuff out there. Also, LeBerick broke up with her and filed for divorce 3 weeks after having the baby. 3 weeks. I think LeBerick's been talking to the guys, and so that's why the guys feel a little entitled to say more shit when it comes to Destiny in our relationship. And that's why Marceau said that with so much conviction, because I think he felt like he knew, but Destiny had to check and be like, that's not what happened. He's like, oh, my bad. Destiny, you kind of got this little thing. And she was like, yeah, I got that BDE. Got that. Women can have BDE too. We walk with a certain, about ourselves, and you just gonna have to know you're gonna have to come correct, period. So then they started laughing about that, and now she's dating, and possibly they were like, we gonna date Jalen. She like, I would not ever do that to Kimmy and Jalen. She would break Jalen. He ain't ready for that, for that woman at all. And so then now we get on to Tiffany and Louis coming. I'm trying to think if I missed anything with them. No, not really. So we get to Tiffany and Louis coming out to the stage. Louis looked like he shot that big and tall, got this long ass Donald Trump tie. Tie long as hell. Tiffany, her makeup was beautiful, hair was beautiful, dress was like, it wasn't like, oh my God, but it wasn't like bad either. Tiffany always kind of managed to be like middle of the road. But nonetheless, they come out and they, obviously talk about their first year, run the footage back. And, of course, Carlos asked them about, social media and how that affected them, this being their first time. And Tiffany was like, it's a wonder I didn't jump off the damn bridge because it was a lot of people coming for me. And Tiffany, your entrance wasn't the greatest. That's why. So they start talking about that because it's all about transparency, with Louis and Tiffany. And Tisha was like, we ain't getting no meat and potatoes with you. Like, Tiffany gave us some BS about cheating in high school, but that's not really no nothing. And so Tiffany said it right how I would feel, which is Tisha, you're coming to me wanting to know stuff about me, but all you keep saying is, what's the tea? Like, I'm not going to feel comfortable telling you about my life because now I know you only doing it to be messy. You only know you only want to know like stuff about my life. So you have basically some shit on me. And I'm not going to just be vulnerable to people that I don't know. And then Tisha also confused me with the, well, I don't know you, Tiffany. Like, I don't know what questions to ask. I don't know what to ask about you. That's kind of the point. You just ask questions, period. It's just ask whatever. So then, they get into obviously the transparency with Kimmy and how Tiffany, like, basically Destiny was like, you guys kind of seem rehearsed. Like, you have opportunities to be a little bit more transparent on the show and y'all aren't doing it. Because Carlos asked, do you guys know something about them? Do you guys know about, know more about them that they're not saying? And Kimmy with a resounding yes. Like, bitch, I know a lot about them. And they've had opportunity where the subject could have possibly came up, but they don't discuss it. And so Kimmy hit Tiffany with that boom, She said, well, Tiffany, I heard you got fired from the chamber. What? Not Tiffany getting fired from the chamber. Bitch, let me find out. And Tiffany did not know what to say. Carla was like, did you get fired? She was like, no. And it wasn't Tiffany's reaction that gave it away. It was Lewis's. And y'all low-key deserve it because, Tiffany, you got that smoke because of how you came on the show. I think Carlos, I'm sorry, Carlos, I think he definitely told Tiffany, look, if you want to be on the show, you got to come, make sure you have a moment that people can talk about. He gave her, like, she knew that tea, and he was like, oh, that'd be a good thing to use. And you came on and used it, and the shit backfired on you because, like Maurice said, it had no point in the conversation. It was random as hell. Like, it was pointless bringing up Monster. And now you brought up somebody's child. And then not only that, like Kimmy said, Lewis, you trying to get all buck and feeling froggy in this grass scene talking about, well, if I had a shot, it'd be different. But that's not what you said when we were together. Like, when we were together, it was all, oh, apologies. We shouldn't have done it. It's all apologies. And then it's behind the scenes, but it's but this. And it's like, no, homie. If you want it, you can get it. Let me know. Like, if you want that smoke, we can load the Scots up. But Lewis, he basically backpedaled and pussy pop talking about, oh, with the apology, we addressed it, from my perspective, had I known more about it, it just would have been handled differently. And, from our perspective, it ain't no but, we was wrong about it. And I find it real crazy how Lewis is really taking control of that whole Monster situation. Tiffany has really yet to really be the forefront of what she did. Like, it's always Lewis apologizing for it and not Tiffany, which makes me even feel more confirmed. And Tiffany knew she fucked up in that moment. And Lewis is just trying to protect her. So then after that, we get to them talking about, Marceau and Tisha being married. And he basically was like, you know what? Y'all been married for a year. What you gonna tell me and me and my wife? And Lewis is like, we might have been married only for a year and I've been divorced, but sometimes getting a divorce allows you to see some shit, that was messed up in the marriage. And that is true. He's like, well, y'all ain't got no expertise. And it's like, Marceau, first of all, you don't need to be married to know what a bad one looks like. You don't need to have kids to know how, like when people are like, you don't have no kids, how can you try to give me advice as a parent? Because I was a kid, one. And for two, I don't need to have a kid to know that, hey, abusing your child is not right. Like, if I see something wrong, and Tisha does this thing too that's crazy because it's like, Tisha will say all day all the shit that's messed up in her relationship and has no problem voicing everything that clearly is wrong in her marriage. But the minute somebody else can say, hey, I see some shit that's going on in your marriage that's messed up too, she always gets defensive and wants to start defending Marceau. She did it in her therapy session with Dr. Francis. Like, y'all, put respect on our name. We've been married the longest. You've been married the longest, but it don't mean shit. Your husband don't even help with the kids. He didn't even know his own son was allergic to peanut butter, I think. It was peanut butter, right? Didn't know what his own son was allergic to. You stay concerned about him cheating because you know he was out there with Martell and birds of a feather flock together. And then you stay saying that he does not support you. And he doesn't, because all he does is want you at home all day, cooking and cleaning. He literally took you getting your real estate license for a joke. So yeah, Lewis might not be, somebody that you want to listen to, but I think Marceau just does not fuck with Lewis because he's really the only one who lets him know, oh, I see stuff, and he was like, yeah, you see stuff, but you don't acknowledge it. And that's the truth. Anything that happens in his marriage, Marceau does not acknowledge, period. And that's kind of where the episode ended with Tisha saying, we've been married to Lions, got to put some respect on our name. Bitch, bye. Tisha, your marriage is, I give it 2 more seasons, and then they might hop off because the shit's gonna get that bad. But yeah, that was Love and Marriage Huntsville, you guys. Tell me how you feel about this part of the reunion. Tell me what you think. Do you guys feel like Martell would have married old girl? Do you guys feel like Lewis had a point with Marceau as far as, giving advice and seeing what's wrong in their marriage and being able to point it out? Do you feel like Maurice let his slip show? Matter of fact, do you guys feel like Marceau and Maurice met Ariane more than once? Because I know they met her more than once. I know they did. But what do you guys think? And what else? Was one more question I wanted to ask. Oh, do you guys think Tisha knew about Martell and just never said nothing? Do you guys believe that she knew about it and just kept it on mute? I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to follow my Instagram and Twitter, you guys, and I will catch y'all later. Love y'all. Deuces.